Let's say that you're looking for a dog and you go to a kennel and you find out that this kennel has been around since colonial days and it's been training dogs since 1500. So it's got a lot of experience. So you're so excited. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get a great dog to bring home to my family. I've got small kids. I've got this home that I want to bring this pet into. And then you find out that it isn't exactly the kind of kennel that you thought it was, because all of the dogs have been trained that their only purpose is to fight. And therefore, they're very aggressive. Now, they look completely calm at first glance, but as soon as there's any kind of provocation, any kind of upset at all, these dogs go into overdrive and become extremely aggressive. And because they've been trained that weakness is not allowed, if these dogs, when they were being raised, showed any kind of mercy, they were yelled at and threatened with all kinds of harm. And so these dogs act as if mercy, backing off, backing down, is complete weakness and won't do it. They just keep going until they've achieved utter submission, whatever that looks like. And so after you've gotten a tour of this facility and you've seen all these dogs, and the more that you hear about the philosophy behind these dogs and the way that they're raised, the more that you just think, oh my gosh, these are not fully fledged animals that have the capacity to be warm and tender and part of a family. They basically are only suited for being taken to war, or being kept maybe at some kind of facility where you keep them on a chain all the time, and they're there just for intimidation factor. This is not an animal that I can bond with, that can bond with the members of my family. And you feel sorry, like, oh my gosh, what would make somebody raise an animal this way? What would make someone take away its full expression of its nature and whittle that nature down to one possible expression: aggression and violence and attack, or three possible expressions, I guess you could say. And now take that entire scenario and think that that's part of how patriarchy has engendered men to be. And now that we're in 2024 and women are saying, I would choose the bear over the man, and women are saying, I need to have a man that has emotional availability, emotional regulation, emotional intelligence. This is why, if patriarchy has turned men into a weapon, and that weapon doesn't have an off switch, if that weapon is always locked and loaded, then that weapon is a danger. And as somebody who's been around pew-pews and has gone to the pew-pew range plenty of times, and also went, and practiced with the pew-pew with my uncles and my dad and my grandfather, I was taught that you always see a pew pew as if it's loaded, no matter whether it is or not. You always treat it as if it's loaded, because the minute that you think it's not and you treat it casually, that could be the last minute that you live. So we in America, in the world, need men to have emotional regulation, emotional availability, emotional intelligence, because we don't need them to have none of that. Because if they have none of that, they're the same as that dog in this analogy that has no command to stop it. And men are much more capable of change than dogs.